From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your afternoon update. Your weekend weather update is made possible by Caltrans District 2.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger in for Chase Wilson this afternoon. All right, here is what I'm watching for the weekend and even through the day on Monday. You know, the thing is, we've got some rain and heavy at times, especially in Del Norte County. And I am watching for a flood potential there, and along with maybe some mudslides and debris flows. Now, this may include northern Humboldt, western Siskiyou County as well, but I think that's where the heaviest rain is going to be. Everyone else, not nearly as much rainfall, and flooding is not a concern there. Now, on top of that, we've also got some gusty winds in the forecast through the weekend, especially for the coast and especially in the higher elevations, mountain ridge tops of the mountain valleys as well. The valley, not so bad, at least the first half of the weekend, but by Sunday into Monday, we are going to be looking at some gusty winds there as well. So a lot to unpack. We'll take a look at that here in more detail, but let's get you through the rest of the afternoon today. And there you can see it's going to be wet, especially for Trinity County and the North Coast. It's going to be later on this afternoon and evening that the Valley and Siskiyou County will see the showers, and it's not until tonight that Modoc County and the Eastern Mountains may see some rain. But I got to tell you, Modoc County, Eastern Mountains, you're not going to get much out of this over the weekend at all, really. Now, this is the atmospheric river that's moving on in here, and it's going to be really having that impact mainly for Del Norte County northward. Some of the concern for flooding is going to be in the Pacific Northwest and extreme Northern California. So there's a look at that atmospheric river. Now, look at this right here. I mean, this really narrow confined band right here, and it kind of flare out a little bit here. But here's what's happening. You've got this area of orange. Think of, we talk about a garden hose or a fire hose. And you take that faucet, right, and you turn it up to really increase the flow, or you turn it down to decrease the flow. So right now we got a fairly maximized flow, and that's what's going to give us that heavier rainfall for places like the coast, Del Norte County in particular, into the north. But you see what starts to happen? See that area of red is starting to kind of dissipate a bit. What that means is the overall flow, we're kind of getting cut off a little bit from that flow. So we're essentially kind of turning down that faucet a little bit, and the flow is a little bit weaker. So as we go through the day on Sunday, yes, there will be heavy rain at times for Del Norte County, but it's also going to most likely mean less rainfall for pretty much everyone else. But there you can see by the time we get into Monday, we're really reducing that flow of that moisture. But on top of that, it's shifting down to the south. So Monday is going to be that day that it just kind of shifts to the south, and it will eventually pass through, giving everyone a chance for showers. But again, with that reduced flow, it's just not going to bring a lot of rainfall on Monday. And then by Tuesday, Wednesday, really through next week, we've got no atmospheric rivers to really speak of. However, by the end of next week, into next weekend, we'll have to watch this. This could potentially bring us some more rain by next weekend. But in the meantime, let's talk about this weekend. So let's take you through the afternoon. This is all slowly pushing eastward. Now, the bulk of the rain this afternoon is going to be on the coast, and we're seeing some light showers in western Siskiyou County and Trinity County. Then, by the time we get into about 5, 6 o'clock, we're seeing some of those light showers for Redding, Red Bluff, but not as much down to the south. In fact, it'll probably still be fairly dry for Glenn and Butte counties, and fairly dry off to the east as well. But we're still seeing some of that rainfall along the coast, and it's getting heavier out towards places like Del Norte County. Let's take you into 8 o'clock tonight. Now we're starting to really spread southward, and we're seeing some of the rain down towards the south, very light. Now, what we'll have to watch here, this is where we talk about the potential for how much rain we end up seeing. If we can get this at a steady rate for an hour or two, we could certainly see some decent rain, especially for the north end of the valley. You'll notice it doesn't seem to be quite as impressive down to the south. Now, where it is impressive, obviously what I was talking about, Del Norte County really seeing some of that heavier rainfall, but really the rest of the coast too, some moderate rainfall as well. But look at to the east. There's just not much going on there, is there? I mean, we have a little bit of rain out towards Modoc County, but not much for Lassen or Plumas. And you'll notice we're even going into midnight, still not much rain there either. But look at that. A nice little bullseye of some heavier rainfall, even some moderate to heavy rainfall down to the south, northern Trinity, western Siskiyou. Again, this bullseye right here. The main bullseye is here, but kind of the outer fringes of it too, feeling some of the impacts. Light rain, midnight tonight for the valley, but again, not much off to the east. Here's tomorrow morning at 4 a.m., really starting to see that rain get heavy, especially again, there's the bullseye, and then surrounding it, we are seeing some of that heavier rainfall, even down south into southern Humboldt County, even parts of Trinity County seeing some decent rain. Obviously not as much for the valley, but there is a little bullseye here off to the east of the valley. But once again, there's not much going on there. Off to the east in Modoc County or the eastern mountains, you see how it kind of pushes to the east, fairly dry. Now, as we go through the early morning hours, some showers, but the chances for showers will start to diminish through the morning for the valley and everyone else. But where are we still seeing that rainfall? That's right, off to the north and west over Del Norte County. By midday, it's pretty much dry for everyone with the exception of Del Norte County, northwestern Siskiyou County as well. Taking you through the afternoon, there it is. That rain, that flow is still fairly steady through the day on Sunday to the north and west. But notice everywhere else. Yeah, maybe a stray sprinkle or a light shower, but fairly dry through a good portion of the day on Sunday. Now we take you into your Monday. Look at that. We actually see a bit of a break. But then, remember I was talking about that atmospheric river is going to be shifting to the south. So one last push of some heavy rainfall for Del Norte County and even into Humboldt County. And as this kind of pushes to the south and east, it loses a lot of its energy. So we may see one last little push of some heavy rainfall for northern Trinity and parts of Siskiyou County, but as it moves through everybody else, it's fairly light. The valley may see some off and on stray showers, sprinkles, really not much going on Monday, and then by Monday night to Tuesday, it's pretty much done with. All right, so the amount of rainfall that we get, this is what we're talking about. That sharp cutoff of where the heavy rainfall is and where we're seeing much less rainfall. There it is, Del Norte County. There's that bullseye I was talking about. You see surrounding it right here, kind of the outer fringes of it. Yeah, some decent rain, just not as much. And significantly less once you head down to the south and east. Now again, we're seeing some of the heavier rainfall for parts of those foothill locations and just east of that, east of the valley, places like Chester, seeing close to an inch, but you can see not as much in the valley. Now, I would say we're going to be looking at about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of rainfall in the valley, give or take. All right, so it just depends on how heavy it does get at times, but overall, it's not going to be a ton of rainfall. I mean, this is all the way through Monday, folks. We're talking about today, we're talking tomorrow. This is the 3-day time frame, so we're just not getting much out of this. All right, so it's not going to be a very big deal for the valley. All right, so remember, we're talking about that flood potential. The Storm Prediction Center is on this, right? Basically putting the potential for Del Norte County today, northern Humboldt as well, and of course to the north. Now again, remember talking about that flow turning off, but still very heavy rainfall at times even tomorrow, but it's mainly going to be northern Del Norte County that has that flood risk and just barely touching the north end of Del Norte County by the time we get into Monday, as you can see right here. Again, it's mainly for our neighbors to the north, but still some heavy rainfall and flooding potential, especially in Del Norte. Now, the snow, as I mentioned, is going to be fairly high, mainly above 6,000 feet. So there's the peak of Mount Shasta, there's the Trinity Alps, and of course the Marble Mountains. You've got Lassen Peak right here. You've also got the Warner Mountains getting some snow. But the main impact on the mountain highways is not necessarily going to be snow, but it will be wet roads. So just be aware of that. Now, some of the higher mountain passes, 5,000, 6,000 feet, sure, maybe some chain requirements there. But again, we're just not going to see a lot of activity here to the east as we saw anyways as we go through the weekend. So let's take a look at the long range now. And we go into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Look what's happening. We've got this ridge of high pressure that's building in. That's going to be our source for more sunshine, warmer temperatures. This is going to turn into a cutoff area of low pressure. It will slowly slide to our south into Southern California. The main impact will be a few clouds for us, but we've still got that ridge of high pressure in place, keeping our temperatures very warm, at least for this time of the year, in the 70s for the valley. Once that shifts to the east, the ridge of high pressure breaks down by the end of next week into next weekend, and we could be looking at some more rain by Saturday night and into Sunday. Now, this ridge looks to flatten out too, maybe some more rain coming in behind that. So that would be a welcome sight. we're going to get a nice little break, a little taste of spring, if you will. People call it sometimes a false spring. That's what we're going to be experiencing through a good portion of next week. But then a welcomed sight would be to see some more rain and some more snow in the mountains. So let's hope that that kind of pans out as we go into the next, say, 7 to 10 days. Now, I was talking about the winds being a concern over the weekend. So there you can see 6 p.m., you see how it's mainly here that we're seeing those strongest winds. Not as bad off to the east, not as bad for the valley. Okay, then we take you to tomorrow morning, gusty winds in a lot of the higher mountain ridge tops, even some of those mountain valleys, in particular Shasta Valley in central Siskiyou County, that could be a concern. But look at the valley, a little breezy down to the south, but that's really about it. Still pretty gusty for the coast. Let's take you into Sunday afternoon. Still very gusty along the coast. Still many of the higher mountain ridge tops, not that bad in the valley. That's tomorrow afternoon. Monday morning, gusty winds once again for the coast. Gusty winds for Siskiyou County. Winds picking up a little bit for the valley. And then by midday on Monday, look at that. I mean, very gusty winds here. Some very strong winds in Modoc County, into the east, into Lassen County. We're most likely, the Weather Service has issued some high wind warnings here up to the north here. We may see some more off to the east, depending on how strong these winds do kind of show up. But even some gusty winds, as I mentioned, by midday for the valley, and still some very strong winds out along the coast. There's 6 p.m. There you can see, of course, on Monday, still breezy, borderline windy for the valley, even off to the north and east. Winds still rather strong, even for the coast. So yeah, I mean, the winds are something we need to watch here very closely too. All right, so here's what we have for today. Temperatures, you know, some of us may touch 70, but it's going to be harder to do that because of the added cloud cover we will see later today. But upper 60s for many of us in the valley, some could touch 70. We're looking at temperatures in the 40s and 50s for the mountains to the north and east, low 60s for Trinity County, low to mid 60s inland, and it looks like the coast will be looking at temperatures somewhere in the mid to upper 50s, even some low 60s. All right, so later this afternoon, evening, Red Bluff. Later this evening tonight, Chico, seeing the rain. Morning showers, you know, through mid-morning we could still see some showers, but by noon it's mostly dry for everyone. And then as that system pushes down to the south, light showers on Monday, nothing significant, and then it dries out. Look at these temperatures. Yeah, very nice. We could hit 70 as early as Tuesday, but this looks to be the warmest area right here, middle to latter part of next week. Now for the coast, the rain this afternoon, morning showers. Now again, the coast, it gets tricky because it's Del Norte County. You've got the heavy rainfall through the day on Sunday, but Eureka, fairly dry throughout the afternoon. Then Monday, more rain coming in, and then there you can see maybe a few early morning showers on Tuesday before it finally moves on out of here and warms up for everybody else too. Now I didn't put snow levels in here because it's negligible at this point because you have to go above 6,000 feet, and that's essentially what we're looking at here. So again, later this evening tonight for Mount Shasta, really late this afternoon, and then tonight for Alturas and Susanville. You've got those morning showers for Susanville clearing out by midday, but I still think there'll be a chance for some light showers for both Mount Shasta and Alturas. Those showers through the day on Monday, especially midday or so, and then it dries out by the time you do go into Tuesday. And it's warming up too. We've even got those low 60s for Mount Shasta, Alturas, and Susanville. That's your afternoon update. I'll be back again this evening at 6 o'clock. Until then, have a great afternoon.